can first-time investors use bridging finance? Really good question, because it's a good question because I get asked it a lot. So obviously that means a lot of people out there are worried about this or thinking about this. And the answer to the question is yes, okay? Now, with anything concerning finance, experience is massively important. We can't underestimate how important experience actually is, whether it's for a buy-to-let mortgage or whether it is for commercial lending or anything in between. Lenders place a lot of importance on experience, but that doesn't mean that if you don't have any, that you can't get any finance. It just means that with everything that you don't have or something that you do have that lenders don't like, it just basically sort of shortens down the list of lenders that we can actually use, or makes the pool of lenders a little bit smaller. So there are going to be some bridging lenders out there that will only lend to people that have already done a project, or have already got experience of having a bridging loan before, or have a property already in the background. But there are some as well that don't need any of those things. And I've mentioned this before to a few people, and I think I might have even talked about this on one of the videos previously, or one of the live videos previously, which is there's kind of like a bit of a checklist that I tend to go through in my head as to the kind of stuff that bridging lenders tend to like to see. Now, experience in both, if you are going to be renovating a property, that the renovation of properties versus also just having a property in the background in terms of being a landlord. Those things are quite important from an experience point of view. Probably the experience is slightly more important than the asset ownership, but asset ownership is certainly there as well. So that could be your own home. Bearing in mind as well, if you've renovated your own home, that can still count as a project that you've had experience with. So definitely you should count that, and you can supply information to a lender. What we tend to do is, if you do have experience, is that we tend to put together something called a previous project schedule, which will effectively list all of the different projects that you've worked on. Don't forget, guys, if you have got a question, please stick it in the question box down below, because otherwise I will lose it in all the comments. Experience is important, but next down the list is an asset base. If you don't necessarily have experience, but you do have some properties in the background, maybe you've just bought some standard buy-to-lets in the past, or maybe you're a homeowner, just having those properties also is very beneficial, because it gives lenders comfort that you've got something else there as a buffer. If something should go wrong, you've got something else that you could potentially refinance or sell, if the worst should come to the worst. So that helps massively as well. Now, the other thing that actually when you think about bridging, you don't think about, but it is a massive benefit if you can show it, is an income. Now, like anything, if you have money coming in on a regular basis, it gives you stability, and lenders like stability. So I had a client recently who had never completed a renovation project before. They've never even owned a property before, don't own their own home. They rent, they have no investment properties at all. And we were going to get a bridge so that they could renovate a property and sell it on. Basically just a nice quick flip. And because they both had really good salaries, I was actually able to negotiate some pretty decent bridging terms for them, because I said to the lender, look, okay, they haven't necessarily got the experience, but what they do have is stability. They're going to be getting a builder to do the building work anyway, so you don't need to worry about that. Here's all the details of the builder. We're leveraging the builder's experience there, so that's another thing that we can do. But actually, if the shit does hit the fan, pardon my French, early on a Monday even, they've got quite a lot coming in. Their surplus income was pretty good. One of them actually had a 6-figure salary. So there are different ways in which, if you are a first-time investor, you can still get bridging finance, because it's all about how we present a borrower and a project to a lender. And I think the better you can do that, the more opportunity that you've got to get some really, really good bridging terms, basically. So it is massively important to have experience, but it's not a necessity to get bridging finance. What it will do is, when you've got that experience, when you've got that asset base, and then therefore you've got a good income, all those three things together will lead you to getting better terms. One of the other things, to be honest with you, is loan to value. If you're only borrowing, say 60% loan to value, that's also actually going to help you out massively, because again, when you look at, if the asset's worth 500 grand and you're only borrowing 300 grand, it's a bit of a no-brainer to put a bridge on that, because if the worst should happen, you can sell that at auction and you're going to get your money back. Do you know what I mean? And so from a lender's point of view, it's very, very low risk. The lower the risk, the less they need to charge to take that risk. I had a case recently that was incredibly high risk, and so the lender had to almost go to 1% a month in terms of their interest, because it was a high risk scenario. But if we can de-risk the scenario, it will have the opposite effect when it comes to the cost. So, awesome question to get started. Thank you so much.